Howdy.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another ASP.NET focused community building for the greater good session. We are here talking about HTBox project, the AllReady project, and we're going to go right to Tony to get us started and talk about what's been going on this week on the project.
Absolutely. We've had a pretty action-packed week. I forget exactly how many, but at least a half a dozen or a dozen other pull requests. In fact, we're up to pull request / issue number 1600, so some other fun numbers. We've got over 2,400 commits, so we're sneaking up on 2,500. 96 contributors, so sneaking up on 100 there as well. We've got the milestone that we're driving to in December. So within the next couple of weeks, we want to get to the point where we're ready for a V1 release. So we've got lots of folks like Steve and Mike who are driving through a lot of the issues. And like in most projects, some of the toughest issues, of course, are saved for last for no good reason. And so we're working through some of the tough things like API integration and mapping some requests coming in and stuff. We've got Pascal and Jim with the Red Cross, going through, looking at issues, understanding kind of where the requirements are. They should be dumping some more info in on how close it seems we are. We've had Emily join us, who's been helping volunteer doing project management, which is great because one, that means more people to be on top of things, and two, it means when I get busy with things like kids and work and stuff, I'm not the bottleneck, which I hate being. And so ultimately, we're driving to that release in a couple of weeks. I'm sure we'll have a little bit of issues after that, and then we'll get this in the hands of folks using it in production in early January. And I'm sure there'll probably be a few issues that come up from that. So got good momentum driving towards that. Steve can, when he gets up, he can talk a little bit. We've got some upcoming codathons, so we'll be busy with those activities as well.
That's a perfect segue. Why don't we go to Steve to talk about upcoming codathons?
Sure. Okay, so we've got impending codathon coming this Monday. So that will be in the UK at My Employer Magic's in Brighton. And we're just doing a kind of 2-3 hour session with some of the devs that are willing to hang on after work, starting sort of 5 p.m. our time, hoping to just tackle some of the sort of low-hanging fruit issues, some unit tests, and just kind of get people used to the project. And then December the 10th, Saturday, we've got London, Ontario, the .NET developer group there are doing their codathon, which is an all-day event. And then in January, we've got the 2-day workshop at the NDC London event as well. So we'll have hopefully, I think, maybe 30 people there, sort of coding away and probably picking up a lot of the issues that we're starting to see post V1 release.
Right on, lots of action there. And you've been working on you've been writing some code this last week here too as well, Steve.
Yeah, finally finished off something that's been sort of in the works over 3 or so weeks around house moves, which was getting the initial kind of version of the optimized route code in. So you can now select a list of requests that make up an itinerary, and as long as you've got a start and end address for that itinerary, choose to optimize the route, and that just calls out to the Google Directions API. And kind of reorders those requests sort of based on the best logical driving distance between them.
Awesome. That's a pretty cool feature. So nice work on that front. Mike, on your end.
On my end, it's been wrestling a little bit with the request API coming in. So there's really two things. One is, how do we actually associate an incoming request to a legitimate zip code for an event? And we've gone through a lot of kind of, I guess, back and forth on GitHub about that. It looks like going forward for version 1, we decided that we could potentially map an incoming request to an organization. And then there's a couple issues out there that Steve had created when him and I had talked yesterday about having a UI where people could go to look at these requests and then associate those to events. The second part of that is, if we go with that route for version 1, then what do we end up, I guess, reporting back to Get a Smoke Alarms API? If we initially bring the request in and we assign it to an organization, can we tell them we're not tracking it? First, we are tracking it. And I have a question out to Cecilia, I think her name is, at Get a Smoke Alarm, about potentially adding another status code back to them, or how their API coming back to them would work, or how they could work with us. Because really, you wouldn't want to say we're going to service a request until we have it associated. So we have it associated to an event.
You have really small hands, Mike.
Yes, yes. It's very embarrassing. I wanted to try to keep those off screen, but
Not embarrassing. I'll do that's
we
awesome.
are right now with the request stuff. So it's really those two pieces.
Truthfully, the small hands is very presidential.
Okay, thanks. I think that's my update.
Okay, wonderful. Dave, I think you're kind of standing watch and helping out with things as well throughout the week. So just thanks again for the oversight on pull requests and stuff like that. On my front, back into the swing of things with getting some of those pull requests tied off and whatnot. And as Tony said, we're approaching 100 contributors. So we have such a varied approach in, every every pull request that comes in. When we see someone new on the project, we probably see a new style. So everyone that contributes, it's a huge benefit to the project overall, and we absolutely thank you for that. And we just encourage you, when we give you feedback, it's not to make your life more difficult, it's just to make the lives of the next developers coming down the pike a little bit easier to follow along what's happening in the project. So everyone has been really good about receiving feedback so far and incorporating the changes that we've asked for. And when you get 100 people in and you haven't had any rage quits, then that's a pretty good thing. So we really do appreciate the community on this project and making things happen. So again, so Monday, Saturday, and then again in January, we've got lots of events coming up. I think that pretty much covers us for this week. Anything else to add, Tony?
No, I think that's exactly it. We got our deadline. We're going to go to a release. We got a couple of codathons. As you said, both the community that contributes as well as the community, you and Dave and Mike and Steve and everybody who gives feedback. We've all really tried to do a good job of being as welcoming, as inviting. Obviously, different perspectives, different styles is what's making this project better overall. So we do our best to give the feedback. It's great to see people receiving it. And ultimately, we're just trying to build the best solution we can here with everybody's contributions.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks again for joining us, everyone. We will schedule our next set of stand-ups. I think we're going to take a break here over the holidays, and we'll probably resume again in January. But you can connect with us on GitHub. You can tweet at us. We're all pretty visible as far as things like that. So feel free to reach out and connect and communicate and start getting some pull requests in.
Yeah,
thanks very much, everyone.
One more
thing.
thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I forgot this. If there are any Twilio people out there who want to contribute, we could use a Twilio knowledgeable person on one of our issues for building out an SMS request controller, I believe. So I know that's been sitting there, and that would, if anyone out there wants to come contribute, we would welcome them.
Excellent. Awesome. Okay, thanks a lot, everyone, and we will see you next time on the HTBox Community Stand-Up.